Today's son, I don't know. What is this? It's a Seiko tuna. It's 033. It's on a strap code end mill bracelet. Strap code now calls itself Mill Tot on Amazon. You can get a good look at it there. Uh, I had a very encouraging conversation with a Rolex owner. I'm not in the market for a Rolex personally. I don't have a passion for Rolex, but a gentleman told me he used to buy a very cheap TV brand of watches, had a half dozen of them, said they were all cheap, and he got rid of them all. He said he lost a lot of money on the resale, obviously, and he's very happy with his Rolex. He's got a Submariner, and I want to tell you, that's a rare story. By the way, welcome to my mansion. You want a tour of my mansion? 3 bedrooms, 2 bath, up, tour over. Small house. Small house. Yet, I still have people coming over to my house with bags of cash. Will you please sell me your house? No, because I got nowhere to go. My family and I will be homeless. Yes, there is a shortage of inventory in the finer parts of Southern California. Got nowhere to go. I'm not taking your cash, but you can have a tour of my mansion. All right, back to the guy who owns a Rolex. I had to bring that in there. So that's an exceptional story from watch obsessives that, I bought this lesser stuff and I climbed the ladder and I found greatness. I found contentment. That's actually an exceptional story. The more common story that I get is I was miserable with my measly, pathetic $1,000 watch, so I got a $2,000. That didn't satisfy. $3, $4, $5, $10,000, $20,000. I just kept climbing the ladder, and my life is miserable. And that's interesting. That's what I call the quest for grandiosity, the quest for perfection, which ends in misery. I'm fascinated by that tale. It speaks to something dark in my own heart and soul. It speaks to a darkness I see in others. And what I really think that speaks to is a word called the Chimera. The Chimera, C-H-I-M-E-R-A, Chimera. A chimera is an obsession that we have that's informed by our own imagination that has little bearing on reality. And yet it overtakes us and it destroys our lives, usually. Usually it destroys our lives. There are exceptions. So when I think of these guys waiting for the ultimate watch, spending all their money and it never comes, I'm reminded of a great Chimera story for this Halloween season. Charlie Brown. It's the great pumpkin, Charlie Brown. Linus doesn't go trick-or-treating on Halloween night. He goes into the pumpkin patch waiting for this great pumpkin to descend from the heavens and to bring him sweets and candies of such abundance that it'll make trick-or-treat look like a trifle. And of course, the great pumpkin never comes. And some of these watch obsessives who have talked to me, the great watch never showed up. They kept waiting for it. And that's something that's always in the back of my mind when I think of buying a really, really expensive watch. That does concern me quite a bit. So I've been thinking a lot about the Chimera, and I think it's related to grandiosity. The more grand our image of something, the more likely we are to fall. When I was a teenager and I used to go to the beach every day, there was a Playboy there. This dude had his little Playmate cooler. He had his puka shells. He had his zebra striped briefs, which were a little too brief for my taste, frankly, with zebra stripes. And he had his gold chain and his hairy chest, and his body was slathered with a coconut banana oil that had zero sun protection, because in the 70s we didn't understand the need for sun protection, so we would slather on this suntan oil that smelled like banana daiquiris. Yeah, I don't even know what it was called. It came in a dark brown bottle, and it smelled like you were putting candy all over your body. It smelled like bananas and coconuts and ambrosia. And this dude, man, I got to give him credit. He always had beautiful women around him, and he was, of course, my role model. I mean, I grew up in the disco age, where disco taught men to promote themselves with hyperbole and a complete absence of irony. And one day, this playboy, my role model, he was playing frisbee with these beautiful two young women on a grassy knoll, and he stepped on a bee. Stepped on a bee. And I looked at his foot, and it was getting big. It was getting swollen. It looked like a giant club on his foot, and his whole body was sweating, and his whole body was trembling. And the two young women were very concerned about his health, his well-being, his safety. And they said, "Are you okay?" He goes, "Just a bee sting. I'll be fine." And the guy, I could tell, man, he was in big trouble. But he wouldn't admit it. His masculinity was such that he could not sit down and say, "I need some water, man. I need to stop, man. I need to get some treatment, man. I'm having a problem. I'm having a reaction to this bee sting, man. I need some help." He could not do that. His sense of grandiosity about his masculinity did not let him do it. Well, the ambulance came, and I don't know if he made it or not, but hopefully he's alive. If not, maybe I'll talk to him sometime in some other world. We'll talk about the disco age and how David Letterman came shortly after to destroy disco, which was a good thing. So that his Chimera was a grandiose form of masculinity. A couple in the early '90s used to go to a club, and they just loved the egotistical bath of thinking they were the it couple, the couple that everyone's eyes were on. And they used to buy new clothes for the club. They would never be seen at the club wearing the same clothes. And she had on her fishnet stockings and her short skirt and her painted nails. And he was about 6 foot, 180 pounds, always wearing a sharp suit. He had perfectly sculpted eyebrows. And he would always whisper little jokes into her ear on the bar stool, little condescending remarks about the people on the dance floor. And she would laugh with this giant mango-like drink in her hand. When she laughed, her beautiful long brown neck would splash chandelier light all across the dance floor. And she had her Chanel No. 5 moment. And he had his Chanel No. 5 moment. Now, I didn't know the couple personally, but I knew about them. I knew that they hated each other's guts, but they had stayed with each other because they could orchestrate these Chanel 5 moments together. They were such a great image couple. They had the Lexus, which was a huge hit in the early '90s, still is, I guess. And, well, now I believe the man passed away of a kidney disease. He had no money to pay for medical insurance. He spent it all on clothes and having these Chanel 5 moments. I believe the woman, who is my age, is homeless. She can be seen walking around in Culver City at local yogurt shops, buying a frozen yogurt with spare change. Her hair is very brittle, almost flammable. It's so brittle. It looks like straw. And she's wearing one of her coats from the '90s, but it has moth holes in it, and it's tattered. It's very sad. Her Chanel 5 moment did not serve her well. So have I had Chanel 5 moments? I don't know. I don't think I have. I don't think. Anytime I'm becoming grand or too cool, I sabotage my own best efforts. But I have had chimeras. Didn't destroy me. When I was a kid, I had a huge chimera that really upset my father. I was 7 years old, summer of 1969, living in San Jose, California. And it was a beautiful July summer evening. It was actually a light rain, a light drizzle. There was a rainbow in the crepuscular sky. And my friends, Gordon War, Billy Cantambe, and Stephen Gessel, and we were on our bicycles riding in circles around Venado Court. And in the distant field, I saw a flashing light. Boom, boom, boom. And here it is, it's July. Boom, boom. And in my little 7-year-old voice, I looked at the flashing light and I said to my friends, "Christmas lights! Christmas lights!" And they all looked at the flashing light and they joined me. "Christmas lights! Christmas lights!" And my father came out of the house. He said, "Jeff, it's time for supper right now. Let's go." My father's in the military. That's how he talked. And what did I say to my father? "Christmas lights." My father said, "Come in for dinner." "Christmas lights." He finally got impatient with me. He walked out there. into the Venado court in the rain, and he picked me up with one arm, picked up the bike with another arm, and he put me into the house, and he says, "It's time for dinner. Stop this nonsense." What did I say? "Christmas lights. Christmas lights. Would you like dessert, son?" "Christmas lights." Next morning, "Son, would you like oatmeal or soft-boiled eggs with toast?" "Christmas lights." This went on for 2 weeks. That's all he talked about was Christmas lights. You see, the idea that there were Christmas lights on a house in the distance in July, to me, was like a miracle of God. There was a grandiosity to it that really captured my imagination. So after about 2 weeks, my father got sick of hearing about the Christmas lights. And he said, "Jeff, you get in the car right now. We're going down there." He took me to the source of the flashing light. And he was correct. It was not a house with Christmas lights on it. It was a liquor store with a flashing Budweiser sign in the front. He took me inside the liquor store. He bought himself a beer. And he looked at me. Sheesh. And that was the end of my Chimera. So what Christmas lights am I searching for now? Any other watches for Christmas lights? I don't know. I'm kind of skeptical. Though I might have to get off the video train right now and look at a Hamilton Intramatic 42, which I hear plays like a 45. And until next time, I'm out.